welcome to another episode of Sheena's Perfect Bite. Today I'm really excited to show you what I'm making. I'm going to show you kind of two different dishes. First is a savory pie crust that you can make with almond flour that you can use for quiches or chicken pot pie, veggie pot pie, any sort of savory filling. And then I'm going to show you a quiche with asparagus, sun-dried tomatoes, and goat cheese. It's going to be really good. So we're going to start making the crust first, so let's get started. Okay, first we're going to start with the almond flour. It's going to take 1.5 cups. You can get this online. It's probably the best place. I'll give you some links where you can purchase that. The Bob's Red Mill brand doesn't work very well, so make sure you purchase it online, that it's blanched, it doesn't have the skin on it, and it's really finely ground. That's the best one. So 1.5 cups of almond flour. We're going to do half a teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of baking soda. So dump that in there. And then I just cut a few scallions from my garden, but you could do sage, depending on maybe what your filling is going to be. You can do sage, rosemary, thyme, any sort of herbs that you want. I'm just going to do some scallions right now. So this is basically your dry ingredients. So mix that up so that it's a little combined. Okay, and then for your wet ingredients, it's super simple. You have a 1/4 cup of grapeseed oil and then 1 tablespoon of water. And you just kind of whisk that up. Okay, and then add that to your dry ingredients. Okay, and then you're just going to mix this to create the dough. It will come together. It's going to look a little dry, but remember it is kind of pastry dough, so you got to give it a little bit of time. Okay, so it's kind of come together. You can even do it with your hands the rest of the way. Kind of make it into a dough. I don't know if you can see that. It kind of squishes and comes together. You can zoom in. Kind of a wet almond flour, basically, is what you want. So combine that. All together, and then you can get your 9-inch pie pan, and then we're just going to kind of push it in there and flatten it out. Another trick is to use like the bottom of a measuring cup to help you kind of evenly disperse it. This does take a little bit of time and a little bit of practice to get it even. So just practice. Okay, so I have it spread out kind of evenly on the bottom, but it's still kind of thick. So I want to kind of push from the center out and get it to kind of come up the sides a little bit. Be careful here in the corner. It tends to get really thick there, so make sure you get your finger in there and even it out. Otherwise, it's going to be a really, thick crust, and then it's not evenly throughout the whole quiche. So we're just going to work from the center out. Okay, so as you can see, it's come up the sides a little bit. So what you want to do is, again, get into the corners, make sure that it's even throughout. You can use a measuring cup and kind of just push it into the corner, and it kind of forces it to become even and level. So just do that all the way around. Make it look nice and pretty. There you go. So that's what it looks like. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this into a 350-degree oven for 12 to 15 minutes. I like mine a little bit crispier, so I'll leave it in there longer. Wait till it gets a nice golden brown, pull it out, and then we're going to let this cool for an hour. Now if you don't want to wait an hour, just put it in your fridge. It'll cool a lot faster. So 350 for 12 to 15 minutes. Okay, so this is what it looks like out of the oven. You can see it's nice golden brown, evenly cooked. It's really hot, and with almond flour, you need to let it cool for it to get a little bit harder of a texture. So we're gonna let this cool. If you leave it on the counter, you leave it for an hour, or you can put it in the fridge for 20 minutes or so, just to get it all the way cooled down. And then we will fill it with our filling, and I'll show you what that looks like next. Now our pie crust is out of the oven and cooled down. I have all of our ingredients here in front of you, but first I wanted to talk to you a little bit, since one of our ingredients is asparagus. I pre-cook the asparagus with some onion and garlic, but I'm going to show you a little trick with asparagus. This is obviously how they come. This bottom part is really tough and it's not really pleasant to eat. So instead of just laying all of your asparagus out and cutting this off, asparagus will tell you where to cut off the bottom part. So all you do is hold both ends and snap. This is the bad part and this is the good part. Before you cut up here, you're gonna miss all of this good part. So that's the way to do it. Just again, hold them and snap, hold and snap. And then from here, you just chop them up in inch long pieces. Saute this up with some sliced onion and a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper in grapeseed oil, not in olive oil. And that will give you part of the filling here, okay? So let's start our filling. The first thing we have are 4 organic eggs in our bowl. And to the eggs, I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of milk. You can use almond milk, whole milk, low fat, whatever you want, but make sure it's organic. All right, and we're gonna whisk this up. So this is what it looks like whisked up. Okay, now to this, you're gonna wanna add a little bit of salt and pepper. So a good pinch of salt. Good pinch of pepper. All right, and now the cheese for this quiche is going to be goat cheese. Now, goat cheese comes in the little logs and it's really soft and creamy. So the best way to cut that up kind of into little chunks is to put it in the freezer for a little bit. It'll harden up and then you're gonna be able to slice it and put it into chunks like I did here. And I just got a normal, all natural herbed goat cheese. So go ahead and put that in here. This is about 5 ounces, 5 to 6 ounces of goat cheese, okay? Kind of mix that in. Alrighty. Now this is our asparagus and onion, garlic, salt, and pepper sauteed so that the asparagus is still crispy. You still want it to have a little bit of a bite, okay? There we go. Now we have about a cup, 3/4 of a cup to a cup of sun-dried tomatoes, chopped up fine as well. I prefer getting the sun-dried tomatoes not in oil. Less fat is better, obviously. So packed dry is your best bet. Okay, so we're gonna stir this up. Now I like to add fresh herbs to my quiches. So I went out to my garden and I just got a little bit of parsley and basil, but you could do any sort of herbs that you want. And obviously you can change up the filling ingredients. I'll probably have more videos on different types of quiches and stuff, but this is just some chopped up basil and parsley. I like all the little green flecks in my quiche. It makes it look really pretty and adds a lot of flavor as well. Okay, so mix this up. It's very colorful, really healthy. It's gonna be delicious. All right, so now you take your pie crust, your savory pie crust, and you can see the little flecks of scallion in there. And you're just gonna take this and dump this in. Spread it out a little evenly. If you feel like you need to add another egg, go ahead. But I don't like my quiches too eggy. I like more filling. Okay. There we go. That's pretty much it. So this is going to go into the oven at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes. It'll puff up a little bit because of the egg. It'll get nice and golden brown on top. So I'm going to put this in the oven and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Our quiche is out of the oven. You can see it's nicely browned all the way around. You can see the asparagus and sun-dried tomatoes, the really pretty colors. So we're gonna go ahead and cut into this so I can show you what it looks like inside. So go ahead and get your knife. You're gonna wanna let it cool on the stove just a little bit for the eggs to set up and everything. But let's go ahead and cut into this. This will feed about 4 people, so I just cut it into 4 big slices. Okay. Now let's go ahead and grab our plate. Okay. The first piece is always the hardest one to get out. Kind of loosen it up. Maybe. All right. Quickly transfer. Okay. So you can see all of the colors. It looks so pretty. Now I think the best thing to serve with a quiche, because it's kind of heavy and, you know, dense and creamy and stuff, is a little salad, a little side salad. So I'm going to show you the side salad that I'm going to make for this. Let's set this off to the side. So the salad that I'm going to make you is just an arugula salad, really simple. I just went and picked some arugula from my garden. It has kind of a peppery taste. It's a little bit spicy, so I like the bite when you're eating something kind of dense. But if you wanted, you could just do a regular mixed green salad, whatever you prefer. So because we're doing this raw, you can use olive oil for the salad. So this is so simple. You just drizzle olive oil on your greens. Okay. And then you can cut a lemon, squeeze lemon in there, or you can just use some balsamic vinegar. Either way. Kind of sprinkle that on there. Okay. A little pepper. Touch of sea salt. Just take your tongs, you toss it all up. The acidity really helps with the denseness of the quiche as well. I prefer lemon over vinegar, but this is what I had today. So you just coat all of the greens. Okay. You bring your quiche over. Get a nice little bunch of greens. You can just serve it kind of right on the side. You want to make your plates pretty, especially when you're eating healthy. Okay. And then I've got some more chives from my garden. Just sprinkle all over. And there you go. There's your quiche with sun-dried tomatoes, asparagus, and goat cheese, and a little arugula salad. So let's go ahead and take a bite. You gotta know what it tastes like. Okay. It's hot, hot, hot. Put a little bit of the arugula salad on there. Mmm. Really, really good. The almond flour crust, you won't even tell the difference. It's gluten-free. It's really tasty. The filling's really good. That goat cheese is nice and creamy. So you guys have to try this. It's really good. Good for you. So go ahead and enjoy.